Envy is a very common human emotion that, if left unchecked, can quietly damage both happiness and character. Because at its core, envy is the feeling of resentment or dissatisfaction that arises when we compare ourselves to others and believe they possess something we lack, whether it is success, wealth, talent, recognition, or happiness. And while occasional feelings of envy are natural, allowing those feelings to dominate our thinking can lead to bitterness, insecurity, and unhealthy competition. For me, understanding how to recognize envy and how to avoid it is an important part of living a balanced life, and one that's also fulfilling. I have learned that it is easy to measure my achievements against those of others. But then again, there are multiple factors at work here. Social media, relentless marketing, everyday conversations often highlight people's success while almost always purposely hiding their struggles. And this is where I'm able to see the beginning stages of envy. Because when we only see the best part of someone else's life, we may begin to feel that we are falling behind. However, though, this comparison is rarely fair or accurate. Every person's life includes challenges, disappointments, and sacrifices that may not be visible from the outside. And understanding this helped me to reduce the temptation to envy what others appeared to have. Now, a powerful way to avoid envy is by practicing gratitude. Because gratitude shifts our focus away from what we lack and toward what we already possess. And when we take the time to appreciate the good things we have, our health, our relationships, our opportunities, and our personal growth, it becomes harder for envy to take hold. Even small daily reflections can gradually change our perspective. Instead of feeling deprived, we begin to recognize the richness that already exists in our lives. For me, an important method for avoiding envy is setting personal goals rather than competitive ones. Because when my success is defined by being better than someone else, I'm almost guaranteed to feel envy at some point. You see, there will always be someone wealthier, more talented, and more accomplished. However, when I focus on improving myself, learning new skills, strengthening my own character, and, and pursuing meaningful goals, we measure progress against our own past rather than against other people. And this approach tends to create motivation without resentment. Another way to reduce envy is by deepening a sense of empathy. Because when we generally celebrate the achievements of others, their success becomes less threatening and actually more inspiring. Like seeing someone's accomplishments for what they actually are. Examples of dedication, creativity, or simply showing what perseverance can ultimately achieve. Empathy reminds us that every person is working through their own challenges, and success often comes with the unseen effort and sacrifice. Finally, maintaining perspective is essential. Material possessions, status, and recognition often seem important in the moment, but they do not always lead to a lasting and lifelong happiness. Qualities such as kindness, integrity, and strong relationships tend to have a far greater impact on our long-term well-being. And when I prioritize these deeper values, the things that usually trigger envy begin to lose their power. And in the end, envy thrives on comparison, insecurity, and misplaced priorities. But by cultivating gratitude, focusing on our own personal growth, celebrating the success of others, and remembering what truly matters, we could prevent envy from controlling our thoughts. Instead, we live a life in the shadow of ourself rather than in the shadow of others. We create a life defined by our own progress, purpose, and ultimately our own contentment. My name is James, and I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, subscribe. A thumbs up really goes a long way to helping out the channel. And for those that have already subscribed, I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care and see you in the next one. Peace.